Have you ever seen Snoop Dogg narrate National Geographic?
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
but I'd
Mara
love
sent
to.
that to me.
There was one that Adeline and I were watching on Instagram, which is probably not appropriate for a child her age to be watching, to be honest. But it's this lizard getting chased by snakes, and to listen to Snoop Dogg talk about this lizard. And we're live.
With Paranormal-Spirits, the place we come to get our booze on. We talk about the booze, the things that go bump in the night. And I get to do that with my booze. I'm Mike Black. To my left, I have the lovely Alyssa Black, my wife.
Hello.
Across the table from me, my best friend, sidekick, confidant, the lovely and talented John Burkett.
But not dressed up like, I mean, look how stylish you are to this evening.
It was wash day.
I'm literally wearing two different shades of gray sweats.
It was wash day. It was either this or my prom dress. So,
Jeez.
It's not 50 shades, it's
I
just
opted
two
for
shades of
this.
gray over there.
only two.
Just two,
You
yeah.
wouldn't hate 50 though.
And
So,
I heard enough excerpts. I've never seen the movie, but
love it.
I've heard that Chad Kroger
Love
doing that thing
it.
where he listens to it really loud at gas stations with the windows down.
Oh, I'm sure it's hilarious.
oh yeah. So tonight we got a great story coming from Alyssa. She's going to tell us about the Changi Hospital in
Old Changi Hospital.
the Old Changi Hospital
Not the new
in
one.
Singapore, and it is a haunted establishment, or I guess it's not established anymore. It's defunct, but at one time it was like I think a prisoner of war camp. It was a hospital. It's been several things. Haunted AF. You can go online and just look up YouTube after YouTube after YouTube of people who've caught stuff there. It's crazy haunted. But before we do that, let's tell you about all the places that you can find us on the web. So you can go to paranormal-spirits.com, and that is our website. It's kind of like a landing page. You can get to everything else from there. There's also Boozy's Boutique. There's a link there for that. And that's where you can get your Boozy's Koozie or your coffee mug or your coffee cup. You can get some Racerback teas.
Regular teas.
Regular teas, funny sayings on them, logos, all that good stuff. We've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, and we've got X. And they're all spelled the same way. It's paranormal_DASH_spirits. And all three of them are the same. And that's all the places you can go to check us out. When you get there, very, very important, look underneath the video or the picture or whatever's there, and there's a button there, and it's different for the different media, but
On the YouTubes, it says subscribe.
yeah, subscribe. So it might say follow, it might say subscribe,
Just
or
click
some
it.
variation of that. Yeah, click on that thing. Feed that YouTube monster. Go check out our shorts. They're hilarious.
Click it one time. Don't click
on
it twice
YouTube.
because that'll unsubscribe.
Excuse me.
Yeah, alrighty then.
Look, we have to do this
needing some
dance here.
attention.
We did do it too.
So, being that this is a show about spirits, and we start off every show with spirits,
Spurts. You
I told you I was going to
didn't say
punch
it.
you in the nose if you said that again.
You didn't. So aggressive. You didn't actually say it. I just wanted to say it like
I
that.
know. I don't know why you do.
I like saying it like that. What do we have today?
The spirits
Have spoken.
tonight, the alcoholic spirits tonight. We are drinking Eagle Rare
10-year.
10-year. Yeah, just 10-year. Yeah,
The
it's
10. If it was the 17, I'd really be impressed.
Hey, maybe that's on the list. Maybe that's on my bucket
But
list.
you'd have had to hang your own Christmas lights if it had been 17.
Would I? So, John, tell us about Eagle Rare.
Eagle Rare is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey produced at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. This is one of their harder to find bottles. It's not like E.H. Taylor or Elmer T. Lee or Pappy Van Winkle or anything like that, but it's still I've never seen it in a liquor store in the wild. It's aged a minimum of 10 years, so everything in here is at least 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
This one came from the big town of Big D.
So when you say everything in here is at least 10 years old, that means
whenever you put an age statement,
mm-hmm.
it means that the juice in there is a minimum of that number of years.
Okay, so
but there could be older than that.
I was going to say, so this is age statement is this is an Eagle Rare 10 being the age statement.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It means that there is nothing in here younger than 10.
So it could be 10,
but there could be 15 year in here.
Okay.
Yeah. But their next statement up is a 17 year, so it could be anything in between in there.
16 and a half.
Could be.
Yep.
I've never seen one with a half on it. But it could be.
But it could be, though.
Yeah.
It basically means everything in here is between 10 and 17 years old.
And this is a bourbon?
It's bourbon.
And
this is Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 1. Same as the H. Taylor. Same as regular old $20 Buffalo Trace. Just.
Okay, we had we had E.H. Taylor last week. Was it last week? Week
before, I think.
Okay, so we had E.H. Taylor the week before. Shout out to Tyler. Thank you, Tyler.
Yes, thank you, Tyler. You have bright Christmas lights.
And
we had come up with great bourbon.
We had E.H. Taylor. And as memory serves, because I've had this before, I'm not going to lie and pretend I haven't. But as memory serves, I like this better than I did the E.H. Taylor.
What's the difference? Do you know? Is it just the bourbon, the barrels?
Different warehouse over at Buffalo Trace. Different, yeah.
So what's the
price point
on this?
This one cost.
I know what retail is.
What's the retail?
It's about $35. It's not expensive.
That is not what this was.
No. Retail is only about $35, $40.
The problem is that this is this one of the allocated ones?
Yes, this is an allocated bottle.
So you're not going to pay retail anywhere?
Occasionally.
Highly unlikely, though.
I know there's a liquor store in Longview that Brian Foster would go get it. Sometimes they get some in and he'd get it for retail.
This is 80.
Oh, where we got it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's double.
Wow. And
this is also where we got, same place we got Fortaleza that was so high. So
yeah,
maybe.
Which is also double retail.
Shout out to DeLynn, because DeLynn is the one who picked this up for us. Thank you, DeLynn.
This one says $89.99.
On their website?
No, just when I Googled how much does I did Eagle Rare cost, and it said $89.99. So.
Okay. So we know how much it costs. We know where it comes from. Has beautiful legs on it. Wow, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's some for $49. 27.
Yeah,
okay, the single barrel's $27.99. Okay.
All right. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cilantro.
That's bourbon. It's good.
I like this better than the E.H. Taylor.
Guess how much a 17 is?
Oh, hundreds of dollars.
$500 a bottle.
$2,400.
Holy goodness. Would it taste better? Boy, this has got strong, to me, caramel notes.
They make a 25 as well. It's 10,000.
I won't be having that.
You could get Pappy Van Winkle 23, is it? For like $3,000 or so?
Tastes like bourbon to me.
It's good. I'm not sure which one I like better. It's certainly better than the Evan Williams bottled in bond I've been drinking at home, but
is it? No, I like that better.
Oh, that's a single barrel. This one says aromas of toffee, hints of orange peel, herbs, honey, leather, and oak.
Okay.
Taste is bold, dry, and delicate, with notes of candied.
You know, honestly, I get a little bit of that leather and the oak out of this.
Notes of candied almonds and very rich cocoa.
This says, easily one of the most tactile, yet assertive and expressive bourbons I've tasted in the last 2 years. Fasten your seatbelts.
I don't think I need to be driving if I'm drinking this, because I'm probably going to indulge to the point to where I shouldn't be driving.
I don't know if I might have liked the Taylor better.
Yeah.
It might have been a little less dry.
Yeah, because I think the Taylor was a little sweeter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a little drier.
Yeah.
It's still better than Buffalo Trace. No offense to Buffalo Trace lovers.
It is Buffalo Trace.
I know, but I know,
Sorta.
but that's like, you know, not aged as much and everything. So
I don't know. I like the $24 bottle of Buffalo Trace quite a bit too when I can find it. It's been a while since I've seen any.
There's some at the liquor store right now because it's
is there?
Christmas.
Oh yeah, the fall is when they release, when all the allocations come out from Buffalo Trace.
And they have all of the like special gift sets and stuff.
I need to go on Black Friday and go get a bottle of Buffalo Trace. They have grips. Do they have handles?
I want to say there was a handle. Actually, because I got to go in this time.
Nice.
I wasn't.
Okay.
It is definitely better than the Evan Williams bottled in bond that I've been drinking on it.
Yeah.
But that was $25 for a 1.75 liter.
So I'm going with thumbs up on this. I actually love Eagle Rare. It's probably, of all the bourbons that I've had, Eagle Rare is probably my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, even more than E.H. Taylor or anything else. Any other bourbon I've ever had.
It's got a perfumey kind of aroma to it.
Leather? Oh, yeah.
You want to see one?
Yeah. A little bit. I don't know. It's good. Would you like to hear about Changi?
Yeah. So we've talked about the BOOZE. Let's move into the BOOS.
Let's don't upset Mare Bear. Mary.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mary. Went on too long.
Well, hey, I put chapter marks in the videos now just for her.
She's going to be real pissed about last week in the Thanksgiving food discussion.
Honestly, and I have to say thank you to her, because she says, I forget what it was, something to the effect of, for Christ's sakes, is this show about
bourbon
liquor, or is it about, spirits?
It's about both. It's in the title.
And so I told her, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you're right, and thanks for pointing that out. And I really do appreciate it, because anything somebody sends in and says, hey, I listened to your show, and I wish you would do this, or I wish you would do that, then I'm going to try to accommodate best I can. So I started putting chapter marks in there so that you can skip right over the booze if you don't want to hear about it and go straight to the BOOS scary stuff. So Alyssa, tell us about Changi.
Old Changi Hospital, declared by the Singaporeans to be one of the most haunted locations in the whole country. So, let me give you a bit of history first so you kind of know how it got that way. It was first built by the British government in 1935 as part of the large British military presence in the area. Two main military buildings, both built on large hills, namely Block 24 and 37. They housed the Royal Engineers, the military engineering and technical support, which was believed to have been commissioned and used as a small medical facility to serve the barracks.
So, military for who?
Britain.
The Brit.
Great. Oh, okay.
The United Kingdom.
I just missed that. I apologize. My bad.
Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
So these areas that they were thinking that the hospital part was serving the part of the British military that was there. Mm-hmm. And it housed the Royal Engineers and also served the Royal Artillery, or the Gunners, and then the Gordon Highlanders, or the Infantry Regiment.
Ah, the Highlanders were here.
Mm-hmm. And then during Japanese occupation of Singapore in World War II, the wounded Japanese military personnel and some Allied POWs used this as a component of the major prison area, and which was handled notoriously by the Japanese police, which have been known in that time during Japanese occupation to be very cruel.
Yeah.
And torturous.
Yeah, it's well documented.
The horrible things that they did
you
to
thought
people.
It was just the Nazis, but it was also...
Yeah, they were awful to these people especially, and that's probably one reason why it's as haunted as it is. It was said that the Japanese let the prisoners roam the grounds, but they were under constant supervision. There's rumored to be a torture center in the hospital. And the reason why it's rumored to be that way is because it's an unfounded claim. No one's actually supposedly proven it with videotape or pictures, but people have said that there's a room with high narrow windows and a heavy chain attached to the walls with the remnants of some sort of torture device in the middle. So it's got like the arms of this device or whatever that are still in the middle of the room, and there's blood stains on the floor.
Nobody's taking a picture of that?
Apparently, it says it's unfounded, and a lot of that is because it's boarded up. You can't go in there, and then the people that do go in there don't stay there long enough to take pictures and do everything because of the haunting, because they get chased out by these spirits.
Really? So
I'm sure if you dug enough, there might be something, but they're saying it's an unfounded claim. I kept seeing that over and over.
Well,
but you see the same story over and over about this torture room.
I haven't researched this to the extent you have, and you may be going to touch on this later, but my understanding is that when somebody does go in, they're not allowed to speak about it afterwards.
And that is a cultural thing.
So they need some Americans to go in there and tell all about it when we get back.
Apparently, but you can't talk about it while you're there. That's
okay,
just a cultural thing.
You'll get caned.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I know that you had said that you had heard at one point there's like 50,000 POWs.
55,000.
Maybe not necessarily right on this site. I'm not sure. It's a very large site. Like
if I remember my history, I think the Brits just surrendered Singapore. There were quite a few.
They did, so I'll get to that.
Yeah.
From 1947 to 1971, the British Royal Air Force used the hospital for the Commonwealth military, along with Australian and New Zealand troops and UN soldiers during the Korean War between 50 and 53. Singapore gained independence in 1965, and Britain began withdrawing, and the withdrawal was completed in 1971, and the hospital was renamed ANZUC, which stood for Australia, New Zealand, and UK soldiers that were served there.
ANZUC. Oh,
ANZUC.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It was renamed the UK Military Hospital in 1975, and in December of that year, the British withdrew their last troops, and the hospital was given to the Singapore Armed Forces, or the SAF. And then it was renamed the SAF Hospital at that time. Then...
and that was in 75. It was still functional as a hospital.
Yes. And it served the military and their families, and then it eventually spread to serve the public, and then they were charged the same as any other government-run facility. So it wasn't a private hospital, it was still government-run. Merged in 1976 with Changi Chalet Hospital, or renamed Changi Hospital, Changi Hospital, and given to the Ministry of Health. The hospital was shut down on December 15th of 1997 after merging with Tao Payoh Hospital.
Those are hard words to say. Mm-hmm. Not sure what language that is, but they are difficult.
It's Singaporean.
Yes. That was in 1997.
I think they speak Malay, maybe, but...
And I don't know. Ownership.
I think that's right.
Ownership of it was then transferred to the Singapore Land Authority. And originally, it had security guards and guard dogs that were posted to keep away trespassers. That included ghost hunters, vandals, drug users, and Satan worshipers.
Those Satan worshipers, man.
There's pictures.
I would think Satan worshiping would carry a heavy penalty. And
there's pictures of like pentagrams and stuff on the floor painted in certain rooms and what have you. It was so.
Oh, I was right. They speak. It's Malay.
Malay. Okay. So then a property company came in to buy the place in 2008, and they were going to make it a luxury spa resort.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
That sounds reminiscent of the Baker Hotel or the Crescent Hotel.
Unfortunately, the deal fell through with financial difficulties in the recession of 2008. And so the Singapore Land Authority took it back and completely fenced it up and placed security cameras and motion sensors. You can be arrested for trespassing at this time.
And caned.
And caned.
But John's not going to let up on the cane.
He's not going to let up on the cane.
Some of it may be too young to remember, but there was...
There
was I don't even remember when it was, the 90s. So there was an American, teenager, who... and I think his father was some kind of diplomat or something. There was a reason, but he spit on a sidewalk, and he was sentenced to lashings with a bamboo cane. Mm-hmm. And the American embassy raised hell, and America's like, "What's wrong with you?" But hey, no crime and no trash on the sidewalks in Singapore. So say what you want about caning, it works.
We can't say those things. So now you'll hear the stories that I tell you. A lot of them are firsthand accounts by people that have been in there. So while you can't trespass, there are people, I don't know if you have to pay them or what the deal is, but they will let people in to go inside the hospital. Mm-hmm. Basically.
For research purposes, of course.
Yeah. I mean, or just gangbanging kids. Not really gangbanging, but kids that just want to go have a stroll. Gang, I meant like... Jeez, I can't even say bang and always know.
You said gangbang.
Gangbangers is what I was trying to say, but then I said gangbang. So excuse me. I don't think that's going on there either. But so they do. A melee word? So you can say. So you can go in there when given access. So I don't. It doesn't. These people aren't like risking being arrested. I don't know how it works.
There's probably special dispensation that's provided.
I'm sure. And a lot of the stories that I have are actually from Singaporeans. Like they're locals or they're people that are visiting, because part of, if you look at pictures, it's a very large, like some of our state hospital systems that we have here still, or just big hospital systems that have multiple buildings. This was military, so it had different buildings. Right. There's rumored to be underground tunnels that nobody's witnessed because they're boarded up, but they have like 3 entry points. And so there are a few areas that have been made into chalets or spas. There's one called Raintree 33, I think, and it's right next to this part of the hospital. Mm-hmm. And people have talked about the windows will all of a sudden slam shut or open and then slam shut. And people are like, I'm not staying here anymore. So I can't imagine if these actual buildings had been made into a spa. People would be like, oh, hell no.
I'm going to buy the building and turn it into a luxury ghost hunting experience.
Well, just the videos that I've seen, there's all kinds of stuff like doors shutting and slamming, windows shutting, opening and slamming, and full-bodied apparitions, the whole works.
There's a lot of pissed off spurts here.
Yeah.
A little fun fact, Universal Studios in Singapore created a replica of the building in its theme park, and it capitalizes on the tales of the hauntings and paranormal occurrences.
See, why not just turn the real thing into it?
Well, as of November 3rd of 2021, there was the government put up like an auction type thing and had people submit ideas of what they could do with this building instead of just sitting there. And the proposal that won was to transform it into a stargazing observatory and aviation viewing deck. Nothing's been done to move forward with that though. So that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, because I always, if I want to stargaze, I go someplace where I have to pay an admission fee so that I can lay up on top of a roof and
not be able to see the stars because it's all because of the because the light pollution from Singapore, from this huge city.
Probably not the best idea.
So the hauntings, like I said at the beginning, any videos, podcasts, anything you listen to from Singapore, this is apparently the most haunted location in the country, which is not a very large country if I remember correctly. It's rumored to be haunted by victims of the Japanese occupation. Like I said, the horrible torture that happened, those that died in the hospital, and homeless ghosts. Apparently there's homeless ghosts that just want to wander around this particular hospital.
Oh, I'm surprised they're not in Los Angeles.
There was a video that circulated of a nurse carrying a baby inside the hospital, but it was yet to be authenticated. No one's authenticated it. It went viral. No one's really proven that's what they saw. Mm-hmm. There's one that you can see on YouTube that's a guy that he's spanning. It's a local, and he's looking at the hospital. Not literally a local, but Singaporean. And there's a shadow in the window, and he pans away from it, comes back, and the shadow's gone. And it looks like a person. So, but he's pretty far away. So,
yeah.
There's a mockumentary that was created called Haunted Changi, and used found footage. I don't know where they found it. I looked and looked to see if I could figure out about this found footage.
They found it at Universal Studios.
They probably did.
They found it at the same place they found the Blair Witch.
So the mockumentary is about paranormal investigators, and each member has a horrifying outcome. The film crew reports when they were filming, though, they did report feeling unseen hands, a woman with a black aura, sudden loud noises, ghostly voices, and claims to have caught a shadow person, which they left in the final movie.
An actual shadow person that they left in there. Okay.
Disembodied screaming voices and shadow people day and night have been seen. And then apparitions of bloody soldiers. And there is a common one about a boy who sits in the hall and just stares in front of him. Multiple people have seen this boy. There's one common reported story. So there was one website that has a bunch of haunted stories of Singapore. And of course, this one, the Old Changi Hospital, has multiple pages of these stories because of everything that's happened. But one common threaded story is that a group would enter the hospital and one member would disappear. When the missing member would return, they reported following who they thought was a group member away from the group to another area of the hospital. So like they'd be standing in the hospital, they kind of look around and see who they think is one of their group members. And so they go off with them. And then this figure would turn around to them and say, "You don't belong here. This place is dangerous and your group should leave and never return." Then the friend would disappear when the person would turn into like a darkened corner, or if they were like exiting the building. All of a sudden this friend would disappear. The actual member that the rest of the group thinks has disappeared comes back and was like, "I totally thought I was following one of you guys. And they told me," but then they turned around and told me, "You don't need to be here. This is a bad place and we all need to leave."
That's crazy. So this group is walking along, and one person follows another person out of the group they think is part of the group.
Yeah, it looks like one of their members.
And so they follow them. They go down this
corridor,
whatever, and this person that's being followed, this person, you use that loosely, but so this person turns around to him and says, "Hey, you don't belong here. It's dangerous. You guys need to leave."
And then turns back around. They go in another crooks, and then he's gone.
And they're gone. They come back, and that person is actually still with the group, the one they thought they were following.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy. I'd be ready to leave then, too.
There was another one. One of the ghosts that's said to be a nurse, maybe pregnant, which I told you before, there was apparently a nurse carrying a baby. So they don't know if she's pregnant, carrying a baby, whatever.
When you say carrying a baby, do you mean like
they said,
cradled in her
I don't know.
arms,
It said carrying a baby. So, and then it said maybe pregnant. So I'm wondering if it means carrying a baby, because there is a rumored story that there was a nurse who had a soldier die under her care. Whether by negligence or injuries is not known, but he died under her care. She was blamed for his death, and the family came seeking revenge, brutally killing her in retaliation. So her ghost is said to still be there. Her spirit is said to still be there, wandering the halls. And so they don't know too if this is the ghost of this nurse, if she was pregnant at the time, or if she had the baby. Multiple stories, but that's where the story comes from.
There's just something especially tragic about a woman with child dying. And especially if it's in a horrific way, like the whole Sharon Tate thing. There's just something about that just, oh God, that's especially unnerving.
Well, and then to think that, tons of soldiers, war injuries, like at that time, that was common, and so if this person died and their family just came to kill her, it's like, ooh. Let's see. Doors and windows opening and slamming shut on their own, even at a spa hotel that was built, like I told you,
next
out of two of the barrack halls from the military compound. So they took two barrack halls and made it into this, I think it's called Raintree 33 is what they called it. I
guess they sold off part of it. Is that what they did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's what they were going to do with this one. It's just and they never had the finances for it. So people have taken small portions of these to make them into something, like I said, the famous parts of the hospital that are haunted, first off. The mortuary, the morgue.
Of course.
Which has been demolished. The mortuary has been demolished. The morgue is still in the hospital. Oh. So there was a mortuary outside. Mm-hmm. There's a tile-walled operating theater, which we don't really call it that anymore, but any of these older hospitals you've ever seen, like in New Orleans and stuff, it looked like a theater, like a teaching hospital. And they would kind of like a A&P like lecture hall is what I think of it as. Yeah. And they had like the board up, and then they have the gurney where they're doing the surgeries, but it's all tiled. This one has one, and it's said to be haunted. The Accident and Emergency Building, which was located below the hill on which the hospital is perched. So like I told you, they're on two hills. Mm-hmm. The Accident and Emergency Building, I'm just going to say that's the ER. And it was
because that's totally what that sounds like.
Yeah. And it's been demolished. But apparently that area, and then there's, like I said, supposed underground bunkers. But there's no access to it now, but there are 3 entry points, but they're all closed off.
So if it was militarily occupied.
They're saying that these bunkers were there so that they could move back and forth.
That makes sense. I mean, that they would have that.
Mm-hmm. So, what you touched on about you can't talk about something. The old folks in Singapore say, and this talks about this in multiple stories that I've read, if you encounter something strange or supernatural, you do not talk about it immediately at this location, or you will send bad luck onto the others that you are telling the story to. Oh. Because it's seen as bad luck for you to experience something of a negative entity.
So can you tell them later? I mean, can you...
Yes.
Okay.
There have been people that did tell it later, but you're not supposed to do it in the location because then that spirit that has come to you will then can attach to them. So
if you and I are ghost hunting, you John and I are in there, and we're ghost hunting in...
yes. Continue.
In Changi? Did I say it right?
Changi. Hard G.
Okay. Changi. And we're ghost hunting in Changi. And
you see the thing.
I see it, and I turn around and say, "Oh my God, did you see that?"
Yeah, you can't do that.
I can't do that because that's bad luck.
It's bad luck to me.
Bad luck on you.
To me. Because it's thought that the entity is coming to you.
After we get out of there and we go to Whataburger that night, and we're sitting there, we can talk about it.
Yeah, because there's stories of it being talked about. So one of the stories was a group of kids. They got bored at a party. They'd been at a party. And so they decided, let's go check out this hospital. They were standing in front of the gates. So you had the hospital, and then it's got metal gates that you can walk up to it that, just like you see in the freaking movies, right?
Well, I was watching a couple of videos when you told me what we were doing.
And you can put up a picture, and so you can see it. Yeah. They're standing in front of the gates when an old man rushes in front of them, grabs the gates, and yells, "Don't disturb us, young people." He points at the building when he said us, and the kids saw white figures looking down on them angrily. That was one story. There's another story about a band.
Is this daylight, dark? Do we know?
Dark.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They were at a party during the night. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah, party.
There were some kids that went ghost hunting. It was a friend, and then a friend and their significant other. So you have boyfriend, girlfriend, and then another friend. Mm-hmm. The friend took out his phone to try to catch a ghost. He's like, well, they were just walking around. They weren't feeling or seeing anything. So he's like, I'm going to take out my phone. The friend with the significant other sat down, and they were joking and playing about not seeing a ghost. The friend with the phone looks into his phone, and he could see a figure with shoulder-length hair wearing a white long-sleeve dress in the phone, but he couldn't see anything behind these people with the naked eye.
In real life?
In real life, he couldn't see it, but it was on his phone. The friend that was on the bench with the significant other asked him why he looked so white. Did he see a ghost? And the friend kept saying he didn't feel well and they should go back. But the friend with the significant other said, why? There's nothing here. Then they all heard a loud shrieking followed by laughter from behind them on the bench. And they all peaced out.
So, I gotta get this straight. You have 2 people
on a bench.
Fiancés.
Yep.
Okay. And dude that's not the fiancé is the one taking the picture.
Yep. On his phone. He's recording on his phone.
Recording on his phone, trying to capture a ghost. And he sees it in the phone, but doesn't see it in real life.
Right. And so the friends are joking and laughing, and they see his face. And they're like, what's your problem? Like, we don't see anything. There's nothing here. And he's like, we need to leave. Because you're not supposed to talk about it. Right. He just said, I don't feel well. Let's leave.
So did you tell him later, I wonder?
Yeah, because that's who's telling the story. So then all of a sudden, they're like, why? There's nothing here. And then there's laughing and shrieking behind them. And so they were all out. So then there was another story about these ghost hunters. They wanted to obtain proof that the place was haunted. So they go in there. They entered the hospital. It was a group of friends. They went in there. They passed the guards table, which is at the front. And they first went to the morgue. I think the morgue is on the first floor. When they got there was a very strong odor of blood. They knew that there were a lot of entities present at that smell. And they said that they knew they were experiencing like a class 4 entity because they were able to induce change in the environment but not show themselves. Because everybody smelled this overwhelming smell of blood.
What are the classes of?
This one said class 4. This one said class 4. Like I said, this is a Singapore story. I don't know. Maybe they do stuff there.
No, and that's fine.
They said that are class 4 because they induce change in the environment, but were not seen.
Which way does it go? Class 5 is like 1, like the strongest, like or is
I'm thinking
5?
1 is the least.
Yeah.
And 4 would
I'm
be
gonna have to look it
before
up
you
because
see
I've never
yourself.
heard that before.
They had taken video cameras, they had taken recorders, and they had taken still photos, like cameras. So next, they went up the stairs to the second story. They heard strange sounds like a trolley being pushed and moaning. They then went to the operation theater and got another smell of blood, but it was less pungent than in the morgue. They then went to the last story. I think that means the bottom. I can't tell. Like I said, they're translated, so it's hard to tell. They saw small flashes of light and sounds of people talking. And he says, the next thing we experienced caused us to leave the hospital, and my friend almost shit his pants. He said, one of our members suddenly felt very cold, and the rest of us were sweating like pigs. Suddenly, an invisible force brushed against him, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground, dropping his camera. We quickly left after that. When we developed the pictures and listened and watched the recordings, we captured some orbs and flashes of light on the photos. In the morgue, so they didn't catch anything on the video, though. They didn't see anything there. In the morgue, they captured large amounts of ectoplasm flowing from the trays, and this stunned us a little, is what they said. Which, that's where they smelled a bunch of blood.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but they didn't see it. That's what they found in the pictures.
Right.
The tape recorder captured many sounds, including people talking, moaning, screaming, faint and muffled screaming, and the sounds of trolleys being pushed.
What is it with haunted hospitals and trolleys and these gurneys being pushed? What is that?
I don't know.
Because it's the same thing at Crescent, remember? I mean, people say they hear the gurney being pushed down the hallway, you know?
He said they had been a paranormal group that would go look at things. He said, our group split up after this experience, and now it's just me. The videos and photos were destroyed by my other member because he wanted to forget the whole experience. The only thing left are the pictures that he has.
He wanted to forget. Well, email me the crap and then destroy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Put it on me and then...
Is this a local team?
Yeah.
Superstitious.
So one of the really cool ones, because, you know, the Asian countries tend to be a lot more into zodiac and, you know, like the Chinese New Year with the year of the horse and the rat and the dog and, you know, all of those things. So this story actually touches on that. It says, my friend was leaving Singapore for 2 years and rented a chalet close to the hospital before he left. We decided to be adventurous and explore the Old Changi Hospital to take a look. We were given strict instructions to use the buddy system and walk in twos and keep watch of our buddies. If we were to hear or see anything, we were not to run or say anything. Those with weak zodiac signs were to pair up with stronger animal zodiac signs.
What are the weak ones? What are the strong ones?
The strong ones would probably be the ram,
Leo,
the dragon,
the lion,
the horse.
maybe the dog. You don't want to be the cat. No, the horse. So
the horse is a weak one.
this one, listen.
Oh, Chinese zodiac.
Yes, especially since this year was not good for those born in the year of the horse.
Oh.
One of our friends was a horse and typically had a sense of these things, and he didn't want to go.
I'm a cock, it says on the menus on the placemats.
Are you? I think you're a rat.
I'm a cock.
Am I a rat?
I think you're a rat.
I thought I was a monkey.
Yeah, maybe I'm.
I don't remember.
There's also a rat.
So y'all look it up. I was born in 1966.
Cock of the walk.
And am I a cock, a rat, a monkey? What am I?
Well, you're not a cock because 69 is a cock. I can tell you that for sure.
I think I'm a horse.
You're a horse. You're a fire horse.
I'm a horse.
Fire horse.
Maybe I'm the rat. I'm an ox. I'm a strong one.
Tell us, Oxen.
So, the friend that was a horse typically has a good sense. So they basically were saying he's got...
Earth rooster.
You're a rooster.
Earth rooster.
You said that, yes.
Yeah, Earth rooster.
He had a sense of these things and he didn't want to go. So he had like paranormal type things. He paired up with another horse, which was no good.
Oh, no.
There was a group of 20...
You never want to have two horses together.
There were... he said he had a bad feeling about this adventure, but we brushed him off and headed to the hospital. There were 25 of us, and about 25 of us. And in twos, we first headed to the back staircase leading up to the hospital. And by the time... So there were so many of them that by the time the first group got to the top of the stairs, the last group was at the bottom. So they were in buddy systems all the way along this big staircase.
Makes sense. I got you.
They didn't... For whatever reason, they go here and it's night and they don't have a torch. They have no sense of light. They have no light at all.
Well, you'd burn the place down for a torch.
I know, but I guess we did not.
Oh, British
torch.
Flashlight.
Yes. We did not have a torch, so it was too dark to see anything. The guy in front of us tried using a lighter, but it didn't work. We were all huddled in the entrance of the hospital, and one of the girls, a nurse who is quite experienced with the supernatural and is a staunch Catholic, decided, she put that in there with an exclamation point, which I thought was funny, decided we needed to...
Catholic part.
And decided we needed to leave and come back with a light. So they left. Mm-hmm. Then they all started talking when they got back, because they could talk about it once they got back.
Right.
We decided not to go back after what we had all experienced, after they started telling their stories. The nurse heard sounds of slippers dragging, but just one side of a slipper. She also saw a new pair of slippers by the side entrance to the hospital. A new pair of slippers, and this place has been abandoned for years, and they were the only ones there.
Somebody messed with them.
Homeless, drug addict, whatever left them there.
And they all admitted to the smell of frangipani, the flower. Have you ever smelled frangipani? It's
it's one of my favorite scents.
It's a distinct flower that's native there. The nurse said she smelled a murky smell mixed with the frangipani. One of the guys, one of the horses, the horsemen, said he felt someone tap his shoulder when he was walking back down the stairs. This friend, the horse boy, that was part of the Zodiac.
Horse boy.
What's interesting about the story, mainly to me, he said he felt someone tap his shoulder when he was walking back down the stairs. When he got home the next day, his dad asked him about going to such a place. But his dad was sleeping when they left, and they don't know how he had known where they had gone. Because he was sleeping when they left. By the time they got back, he was still, they didn't get back at 2 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. They apparently went back. The dad said he had a dream that his son, the friend, was being pestered by a ghost and there was nothing he could do to help him. From then on, my friend has carried a talisman wherever he goes. He said, I stay clear of all of it. Just thinking of going near the hospital gives me the creeps. There was one other story that talked about this woman was possessed. And they go to their Taoists there. And they go to one of the temples to have this woman exorcised. And they call upon this, I they kind of said it was like a demon, but because they have talismans and not all their demons are bad. Like they can rid people.
Like Pazuzu?
I knew that was good.
So they called upon...
Any opportunity to say the P word.
They called upon this demon. They said that the girl... So the whole story is they go to the hospital. The girl loses her shoe. She gets touched by a spirit. She freaks out, starts running around, loses her shoe. Well, they tell you not to leave anything there. She left her shoe. She left. She was like, I'm out. I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. Well, then this is said girl that becomes possessed. They tell her, the family, the Taoist monk people, I don't know.
Taoist monk.
They tell them, you have to go back and you have to get your shoe. You can't leave your shoe there. While your shoe is there, you will be possessed by this spirit. Because it is able to embody her through her item.
Her shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She had to take her family with her. Her dad had to go with her. And he had to go... They found where her shoe was. And he had to go and plead with the spirit or entity to let his daughter go. And he's the one that had to ask for her back. And they said that they had set up an altar outside of the hospital. Mm-hmm. And that when they went into the hospital to release her spirit,
right,
and he got the shoe back and asked the girl for her, which, mind you, this girl is sick, looks like she's dying, does not feel well, pale, all this. They said they can see her spirit walking from the altar back into the hospital, and then the girl alivens and becomes her normal self after that.
After she leaves the altar to the hospital?
Her spirit leaves. The girl is in the hospital. The people there say they see her spirit walking from the altar they have set up.
I thought that the girl was outside at the altar and her spirit left.
No, the girl is inside the
the
hospital with the dad.
And the spirit leaves from the altar to go into the hospital.
To come back to the girl.
Rejoins with her body and comes back out. Gotcha.
Now, mind you, this is a very spiritual culture. Mm-hmm. Very different than Christianity beliefs. You know, they have the Taoists and the demons and the gods and they have talismans. They have all these kinds of things. So, I mean, you know, take that as you will. But
Christians call them crucifixes.
Right. But, well, Christians have a lot of different things, honestly. But so I didn't write that down. I remembered reading it because I was like, well, this is... And it got a little convoluted because I don't really know all the Taoist type...
It's Buddhism, right? I mean, they're Buddhists.
Ish, I think. I don't think... They're not exactly the same. I know that.
I mean, the primary religion, it says in Singapore, is Buddhism.
Yeah.
And that's very true.
Taoist... Isn't Taoist... a form of Buddhism?
It's only 8.8% Taoist, so it's 31% Buddhist, 20% non-religious, 18.9% Christian, 15% Muslim, 8.8% Taoism, 5% Hindu, and 6.6% other. So primary religions are Buddhist and non-religious.
So
she might have been a Taoist.
Yeah.
It was a very long story, but it was very interesting. So those are all the stories that I have of what has happened. I mean, obviously it's not super specific and what have you, but almost everybody that goes in there experiences something. Most of the time it's voices, smells.
Well, the stuff that I've seen, like I say, on the videos and stuff like that, and there's tons of YouTube videos on it because it is like the most haunted place. I've seen some really convincing videos, and it does not look faked. It looks like legit. There's one where a guy is outside of the facility, and he's basically filming over the top of the chain link fence or, through it or whatever. And you can see there's like windows, right? And you can see a figure's very wispy looking, but it's walking and he's panning, and then it like he catches it and he comes back and you can see this figure walking like that. It's like
there's a still photo of that right
that
there.
looks
Yeah,
legit.
that's the.
That looks legit.
It's. I mean, you.
That
can,
looks like what we saw out at
Yep.
Camp Ford.
Camp Ford. Well, I mean, if nothing else, almost everybody that goes in there hears disembodied voices, moaning, trolleys or gurneys or what have you, footsteps.
We know that those places that tend to be haunted are places that have had massive amounts of trauma placed on them. Typically, Gettysburg. Okay.
I know. I think that'd be a great story.
Gettysburg is a place that it would that's had ungodly amounts of trauma.
Any of the the Alamo.
The Alamo.
All of those hospitals we've talked,
spot.
the hotels, that we've talked about all, because they're on the battlegrounds, or the Baker Hotel, or the Crescent Hotel.
Yeah.
With everything that happened to them.
The way he treated those patients. Yeah, so any place that's visited upon by lots of trauma, it's like it leaves this mark on it, So if you had this place, which was a POW camp, it was a hospital during wartime.
Multiple wars.
Yeah. So this is, why would I not believe that it's haunted? I mean, it's just one of those places that's, you go, yeah, that's haunted.
Well, it's kind of like,
be haunted.
Especially with the way that they talked about the Japanese occupation and how those people were treated is very much like what you'd see about the Nazis. And
there was a unit in the Japanese Imperial Army called, I can't remember the name of the unit, but they operated mostly in China, and they did horrific experiments.
Oh, my God.
We're talking Mengele level.
Yeah, there was a story about
stuff.
that. They were comparing some of what had happened here, not that there were any reports that those, to that extent.
There's a couple of horror movies made about this unit.
But what they did in China, we could only imagine even just a semblance of what they could have done.
Yeah,
here.
I remember reading about different incidences.
There's Nanking or Nanjing, depending on
They
how you say
did
it, what they did in Nanking.
Horrible things.
There were Nazis actually rescuing Chinese civilians in Nanking. There's a pretty interesting film about this one guy who was an avowed Nazi working in Nanking, China, and he had a factory or something. And when the Japanese came, who were allies with Nazi Germany, right? He ended up having to take people into his compound, to his factory and stuff, because of the horrible things the Japanese were doing. And
Can you imagine?
He put a big old Nazi flag up there so that the Japanese wouldn't come in.
Can you imagine?
So that it's so weird that
the atrocities are so bad that a Nazi is willing to rescue you.
Yeah, I think it's more of a convenient Nazi, rather like a financial Nazi, rather than.
And I don't know. A lot of what's hard about this story is because of its location. It's in Singapore, so you don't have a lot of American groups paranormal groups that I have seen reported that have gone here. And I don't know if that's because we wouldn't be granted access because most of this was local, native people to Singapore or what have you. But it would be interesting to see,
No, in Singapore, you throw enough money around, you can get it.
Yeah. So, I would say that it would be fun for one of the groups, because there's so many around in America that people go to, because that there's always those hotspot asylums or the Crescent, because there's so many people that have gone there from different stories, different
the one in
groups.
Tennessee,
Trans-Allegheny or
no? What's the one I'm thinking about? It starts with a W.
Waverly Hills.
Come on, Waverly Hills. That's in Kentucky, isn't it?
Waverly, Kentucky. Is it Tennessee?
I think it's Kentucky.
I had it.
Kentucky.
I think
It's one of them. Waverly Hills or Waverly Manor or whatever it is.
Kentucky.
Waverly, the Wizards of Waverly Place.
It's in Louisville.
Kentucky. Okay.
Not from Louisville, but.
Hey, yeah, it would be a good one
Frankfurt.
for Kentucky.
I do think that's really cool. I would love to go there if we could get in. That would be fun.
In Singapore, I would love to go because you have hawker stands in those night markets that have
He's all about the
Michelin stars. I'm talking about street food hawker stands. 2 of them have Michelin stars.
I thought it was 3.
No, there's 2 with Michelin stars, and then there's 5 or 6 that have Michelin bib. So, but a Michelin star rating means that this is worth the trip just for this.
Yeah.
For
best
this
of the best.
$3 plate of chicken and rice is so good that it's worth the trip to Singapore to go to it.
Wow. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I don't like chicken and rice.
At the Lao Fan Hong Kong soya sauce chicken, rice, and noodle stall. Michelin star.
Okay.
Well, isn't it? I mean, it's beautiful there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a really nice, clean, wealthy place. It has the 5th highest GDP per capita in the world.
What is that?
It's the gross domestic product per capita.
Oh, okay.
It's higher. It's higher than the United States. I mean, it's
Okay.
It's like a lot of money.
The only problem is like 6 million people living in about a 21,000 person per square mile density.
But I say it's tiny.
Yeah, it's
a city state. It's not a. It's a city. It's just a big city.
So we would go there. We'd go check it out.
I
Haunted?
mean, y'all can.
I think it's haunted.
I have no doubt this place is haunted.
Go for the street food. Stay for the ghosts.
Yeah. What we drink tonight?
Eagle Rare
Spurts.
10 year.
An age statement of
10 years.
10 years.
Very rare. I mean, you don't see a lot of age statement bourbons. It's
no,
not really. I mean, Knob Creek 9 is one, and there's there are some, but most bourbons are not aged. The vast majority, whereas most scotches are.
Right.
Single malts at least.
Yeah.
But.
So I'm giving this a double thumbs up because I say, this is my favorite bourbon.
I think I like the H. Taylor better. I have to test and see, but I think I like the Taylor a little bit better. But it's still really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good. So when we're done tonight, we'll go back
So when he goes and tries that, y'all go look at some pictures of this.
Oh yeah, I've been looking at pictures.
Changi.
Yeah.
Changi.
Yeah.
When this is over, we can go out to the liquor cabinet. We can compare it side by side.
And then go look at some pictures of Changi. We'll put some up too.
Oh yeah, I'll throw plenty up here
on the podcast, and so you can see it. But alrighty,
right.
It's been fun.
Yeah, Changi.
Changi.
Good night.
Good night. I didn't realize that.
Sorry, that was boring. It was hard to.
I found it quite interesting.
It looks like every colonial building in Asia that Europeans built in Asia. It looks like so many
Yeah.
British did.